Her tiny fingers curled around mine as she leaned in, lips barely moving. "Grandpa," she whispered, eyes wide, voice trembling, "my parents will take your money after the party today." I smiled, not because I was surprised, but because I finally had confirmation. I stood up, mid-toast, excused myself, and left my own birthday celebration. 80 years, and that's how it ended. Not with cake, but with clarity. They thought I was senile. They mistook my silence for frailty. That was their first mistake. I remember the day Lisa introduced me to Mark. I shook his hand, looked him in the eyes, and felt nothing. No warmth, no depth, just a smile too quick to form. But my daughter was in love, and I wanted her happy. After all, I had raised her alone. I gave her everything: piano lessons, university tuition, a mortgage down payment, even after she married him. I wanted to believe she'd repay that with kindness in my old age. That was my mistake. The signs were small, almost forgivable at first. Mark asking casual questions about my will. Lisa bringing me paperwork to sign under the guise of just routine. Their tone shifting, subtle, sharp. The nurse they insisted I hire. The medication I didn't recognize. I began pretending. I left lights on intentionally, forgot names I knew. I let them think the fog was settling in, that they were safe, that the old man was slipping. But I was watching, listening, planning. Then came the party, a grand affair, their idea, of course. "Let's celebrate you, Dad," Lisa had said, smiling with teeth but not eyes. She offered to host it at their house. Controlled environment, controlled guest list, everything on their terms. I agreed. They even picked the guest of honor, my checkbook. But they didn't count on Chloe, my 8-year-old granddaughter, the only innocent in the room, and apparently the only one brave enough to tell the truth. I left before dessert, and I didn't go home. I went to the bank. I'd been preparing for months, changed my will, quietly, legally, shifted assets into a private trust, one Lisa couldn't touch. The house? Transferred. The stocks? Liquidated. Every penny they were salivating over had already been moved. But that wasn't enough. I didn't just want them out of my money. I wanted them to feel what they made me feel: invisible, discarded, used. So I made one final move. The next morning, they arrived at my place frantic. "Dad," Lisa called from the front door, "we need to talk." The house was empty, the curtains drawn, but the note on the table was waiting. "You always said this house felt like yours. Good news, now it is. The deed's in your name. So is the maintenance, the property tax, and the second mortgage Mark took out last year behind your back. Surprise." Below it, 2 envelopes. One addressed to Chloe, one to the authorities. Chloe's envelope held a college fund, a substantial one. Her parents' envelope was evidence. Voice recordings, photos, bank transfers, all tied to their slow, deliberate attempt to declare me mentally unfit. They wanted control of my estate. They nearly got it. But nearly is a funny word. Almost means nothing. They tried to reach me, of course, but by then I was gone. Not dead, just elsewhere. Somewhere warm, somewhere quiet. I still get updates on Chloe. She's doing well, living with her aunt, my sister's daughter. The courts decided Lisa and Mark were unfit guardians. Financial fraud doesn't look good in family court, especially when it's been notarized and time-stamped. Do I miss them? No. I miss the idea of who they were, or who I thought they were. Lisa, with her scraped knees and bedtime stories. Mark, pretending to call me sir in the early days. I miss the illusion, but I've made peace with the truth. They buried their respect for me long before I buried my trust in them. They thought old age made me weak, But they forgot I built everything they stood on, and I had no problem burning it down when they spit on the foundation. I didn't raise a daughter to serve me, but I didn't raise her to rob me either. People ask why I didn't confront them earlier, why I waited. Because revenge, like tea, brews best with patience. And I wanted the flavor, just right. Now, every time they drive past that house they once bragged about, they'll remember. It cost them everything. Not just the money, but me. And that is priceless.